Okay, going live, going live, going live. Just waiting for all my monitors. Hello, 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 hello. Welcome to Friday morning coffee and composing. Cheers, everybody. I'm just getting everything working here. Welcome back. So, thank you very much for everybody that's been tuning in to these live streams / explorations / workshop-y things. It's great, and it's great to know that people who can't make it live, obviously on Friday mornings, tune in after the fact. So if you're watching this and it's not Friday morning, maybe it's still time to drink coffee and open up the door and mess around with stuff. So it happened. It was my first week in 2026, which I knew was going to happen, where something would kind of get a bit derailed. And this tends to happen. I think this tends to happen a lot when you have downtime as a musician is usually January and February, because it's still winter. People aren't going out after Christmas, and things aren't happening as busy as they were. So you tend to have this down period, and at the best of times, it's a fallow kind of time to regroup and start new things, and tend to all the things that you haven't got a chance to tend to during the year. And then it gets busy again with gigging and lessons and people going out more and projects starting again. But what I tend to do is in these periods of time, January, February, I'll go back to kind of writing and doing more content stuff, like the live streams and all that kind of stuff. And I find that you really get into a good groove of doing it. And then something happens around probably towards the end of February or the middle of February where life just kind of gets in the way and you kind of get a bit derailed from these things, because content and creating content, it's hard to prioritize it when other work comes in the way as well. So in that sense, it's a good thing, but you also get this weird sense when you're doing content stuff that if you miss time or if you take time out or something, that it's all going to fall apart and get derailed. So, so this was week that I had that. So no cue sheet today. But there was a Substack earlier in the week about habit tracking, and that's kind of a new thing that I've been trying to do. So instead of getting 2 newsletters out this week, I got 1, which is, I suppose, not too bad, but I will put a link here. Also still going live on Substack at about 11 o'clock too. So if you're not bored enough of me at that stage, you can come over. So check out Substack and like and subscribe and all. Thank you to all the new subscribers here on YouTube too. So nearly hitting 300, which is a milestone for me, And hey, ¿qué pasa? How's it going? Yeah. I hope you got some coffee. Where was I? And train of thought gone. So I'm going to jump into the DAW pretty quickly this morning, because I I'm kind of talking a lot of rubbish this morning. So what I want to talk about today is something that has been on my radar in terms of what I'm trying to learn for orchestration, and something that I'm trying to practice more of, which is you're going for coffee? Excellent. Um, Something I'm trying to practice more of is I have had a lucky opportunity to score for orchestra in the past, and you know the way they say learn the rules and then break them. I broke the rules before I implemented them properly. So I'm trying to kind of take a step back and systematically assess kind of some holes in my own learning when it comes to orchestration and writing for larger ensembles and things like that. So the first port of call for me was SATB and Bach chorales and writing in 4-part harmony. It's something I haven't done for a long time. And when I learned writing for 4-part harmony, I learned kind of jazz harmony, which is less rules based, but still has rules. And then I found that my orchestral writing, because it was kind of fundamentally coming from a jazz place, it got very idiosyncratic of when kind of jazz writing and jazz harmony and jazz orchestration was kind of that period of time in like the 70s and the late 60s and 70s. So stuff I was writing for mock-ups and orchestra and stuff started to sound like, as my wife would very nicely put it, it starts to sound a bit like Columbo on a Sunday. And I have nothing against Columbo. I think it's great. And in fact, I'm rewatching it again. And last week, I put delays on the woodwinds because I had heard it in Columbo. So there's something about me that's always drawn to that kind of 70s orchestration thing. But I am trying to expand my reach and get into more rules-based orchestral writing. So with that in mind, I'm going to play in a chord progression. I'm going to try and lay it out in somewhat functional harmony, and use the overtone series to try and kind of spread out the chords. So it's going to be fairly straightforward. It's quite a kind of an academic exercise, this one, for me as much as anybody watching. So bear with me. But if you have any suggestions, or you know a lot about Bach chorale writing and stuff, and I'm making some mistakes here, definitely throw in some feedback. So, as is my want at the moment, I am going to mark off just 8 bars. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And I'm going to play in a fairly straightforward chord structure. Then I'm going to start spreading them out onto the orchestra. And that'll be it. So yeah, so bear that in mind when you're watching this, that this is a bit less of a tutorial and more of an exploration. I seem to be getting a lot of that in my left ear, but not as much in my right. Okay, so chord progression wise, want to keep it really simple. We're going to write it in C major. And let's go. Let's do the axis of awesome, shall we? So that goes 6, 4, 1, 5. 6, 4, 1, 5. And then we might do 2, 5, 1. So really super functional harmony, nothing too crazy going on. We're going to pick Yeah, let's keep it at 120. Let's just be crazy today. Does that work? Works for me. It's fine. Okay, so let's break up the MIDI now and start getting rid of all my mistakes. So how is everybody doing out there in YouTube land? Drop in on the comments and say hi. So we want these 4-note voicings, and we're going to do different things with them, obviously. So top line is going to be a melody, middle voices, harmony, and bass, obviously, as well. So we're going to just throw those out into the orchestra and see how quickly we can orchestrate 4-port. Yeah, sounded like I'm from posh part of Dublin there. 4-port harmony. And okay, I'm not quantizing for some reason. That's because I have it here. There we go. Oh, whoops. There we go. That's a bit better. So here, my clunky piano playing, and this is another thing that I've been trying to do. I've been trying to work on piano playing, specifically as it regards to inputting MIDI, because I found that however I voice the focus on the composer, I can't go actually. I'm working, so I would love to go, but I can't. There's another thing on the film, and is it the TV? Let me look it up here. I just got to jump onto my computer here for a minute. And where are we? And so that's Nelson, by the way, who is an excellent composer. Check out his website. Actually, I'm going to find your website and I'm going to link it here too. Here was me trying to put it onto my phone. Here we go. Check out Nelson's music because he's excellent. Did his thesis on opera. What is this? It is the TV. I can't remember what it is, but it's like a film festival for what's going on in TV land at the moment. It's on soon. If you get a chance, Donata. If you get a chance, go check that out. But yeah, I won't get a chance to go to the composer, focus on the composer panel that's on at the Dublin Film Festival, which is on next week as well. But it's run by Screen Composers Guild Ireland, and I have talked about them here before. And I'm going to put on their website too, because they are so helpful if you're looking at getting into the world of composing for screen and stuff. Join up. You can join up as an associate if you don't have a ton of credits at the moment. But there's another link too. Okay, so back to this. Yeah, I want to spread out these. Now you have to bear with me because I have to load all my instruments again. This is a template I've been using. You can buy this template on my website. While I'm here and I'm sticking in links of stuff. Where are we? The orchestral scoring template. There's loads of links. I just put in all the links. You can get a copy of the template that I'm working with here, which, if I just minimize it a bit for you, you can see. So it's laid out in orchestral order, score order. So we got woodwinds, and we have brass, percussion, pitch percussion, choirs, strings. Then I have a couple of extra bits in it. It's routed for bust reverb, and it has its own mix and master and channel at the end. And the only thing you need to do is load in your orchestral samples of choice. So it's built so if you wanted to do this with just free sample instruments, you can look at, there's two different ones. The Berlin Orchestra from Orchestral Tools, I think it is. They do a free orchestral sample library, and Spitfire Audio do their free symphony. They've just brought it out like in last year, I think. So go check them out. I won't go searching for links for those because I've already been sharing way too much, oversharing links wise. And I know the reason I'm doing it too is because I am hesitant to go at this, because when you're learning in front of people, and you're putting out all the this is an area that I've been trying to develop and work on myself, so I'm very conscious that I'm not going to get the rules right. So let's throw on the chords on this so we know where we're going. So open up global tracks. So we have A minor is first chord. Next chord here is so it's 6 1 4 5, isn't it? 6 1. It's major. Oh, where did that happen? A minor. This is where logic gets much fun. Next one is C major. That's helpful. Next one then is F major. And last one then. Oh, who's on? And F and G. And then this somewhat repeats, doesn't it? So we take those, and instead of, where's the 2 5 here? I promise this is going to sound better. There Okay, so this is D minor. D minor for half a bar. And then what are we looking for? G dominant. This is super functional harmony 101. But hey, that was one of my what you call it? Resolutions. Yeah. Is that Anna? Is it? Yeah. Hey. How's it going? I am good, yes. Better than last week. I was a bit sick last week. If you want to see somebody struggling through using Logic Pro. Okay, so we have A minor, C, F, G, A minor, C, D minor, G7, C. So super simple. Now this is what we want to look at. I'm going to stay in the guide piano. I'm going to try and voice these in 4-part, and then I am going to throw the top line as a melody, and figure out the basses, and then we'll look at the textures in between. So that's kind of how I'm trying to approach this. So we'll just get it to 4 parts first of all. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So because we're starting on a minor chord, I'm going to throw this octave in the bass is good. We can bring it down an octave. Well, maybe that's a bit too much, is it? We'll leave it there. Then what we really want here is a 5th. So A to C is 3rd. So I'm going to take that, throw it up an octave, and A to E is our 5th. Then we have another root and the 3rd on top then. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and take out this root. And there's roughly how I want to spread the chord. That's very nice of you to say. So what I want is these kind of spread chords. So that gives us room to move. So we have the inner voices and we have the top. Now I'm trying not to go down the route of major 7s, and because this is something I'm just trying to experiment with not using as much of, because my natural default is that kind of that jazz chord sound. So suspended chords, diminished chords, augmented chords, they're all fine. I can throw that in as the harmony kind of gets a little bit more developed. So next chord then we have the, what are we doing? 6, 4, 6, 1. So this is our 1. Yeah. Is it? 6, 1, yeah. So this should be a C. What have I done wrong here? No, it's 6. Yeah, sorry. I do lie. That should not be a C. That should be an F. 6, 4, 1, 5. Little changes here. 6, 4, 1, which is C major. 5. And A minor, 6, 4. So you might know this chord progression from the Axis of Awesome. If you haven't seen that video, it basically is how, you know, there's so many modern pop songs written using the 6, 6, 4, 1, 5 progression. So worth learning. Now, where were we? We were spreading these chords out. I'm really conscious of time now. Time's out. So here, don't want the 5th. We're looking at octaves really. So octaves. So going by the overtone series, which is, if you haven't heard it, it's how music is, or how tones function in physics. So let me see if I can share you what I mean. So how would you define it? Let me look up the actual definition of the overtone series, because it's the overtone series is a sequence of frequencies produced simultaneously by vibrating source like a string or air column, determining an instrument's unique timbre. So when you play an instrument, when you play one note, there's a whole load of extra notes within the frequency range as you go up, and those notes are always in order in however far apart they are. So if you use the overtone series as your kind of, as your basis for expanding on chords, because it's present in physics, it's going to naturally sound good. So how it, very basically how it works is, the fundamental is the lowest tone, and up from that there's an octave, perfect 5th, then it goes minor 3rd, minor 3rd, I think is it minor 3rd, minor 3rd. So where am I? Yeah, so octave, perfect 5th, perfect 4th, major 3rd, minor 3rd. Then we get into slightly more microtonal stuff, sub minor 3rd, super major 2nd. Yeah, this whole thing is beyond me in terms of like explaining it, but suffice to say that everywhere in nature, as you know, when you think about things like the Fibonacci sequence and all this stuff that appears in nature in a universal kind of way, the overtone series appears in nature. It's just, yeah. I'm not doing a very good job of explaining that, but I would recommend go check out the overtone series. There's people that explain it very better than me. So because between the lowest voices there's the largest gap, so you can do big octaves there. Then here again, because of my piano playing, I put a major 3rd, and we're going to throw that up on the top, and then we're going to get rid of the repeated octave up there. So here, so we've already got more of a spread out voicing, and not using anything other than the root 3rd and 5th. That's it, and we're putting the 3rd on top. So next voice is C major, so this is going to be, so I'm going to throw this down to an octave, and get rid of the repeating octave, the 3rd. That is quite a large jump from these, so maybe bring these up a bit. And then put this on top. Get rid of the C. Now, the reason we go on doing all of this stuff now is because when we go to orchestrate it out, it'll already kind of live in its own space. And then we can start working away with kind of with melodies and kind of harmonic support and different things like that, dynamics and stuff. Yeah, so it's getting sounding very, very familiar now. Whoops. And here, so G to D, we have a fifth, so it's not exactly what we want. That G is low enough, and whoops. So we have a G on top there. And we already have that in there, so that's fine. So the D, whoops. G to B. Now this is the B that we want to go up here. Fifth is okay. G, this is gone, so. Oops. So let's have a listen in context. So see how when I play it, we've got these close voices. And this is just how I tend to spread things out on the piano when I'm playing it in. And it's something that I kind of want to avoid because what I found recently is something that's kind of important is to detach yourself from your kind of instrumental rules. Now this is easy. This is easier said than done, and sometimes it works to your benefit, and sometimes it works to use it. But when I come to orchestration now and putting in chords and things like that, I'll come at it from a point of view of a guitar player, or I'll come at it from a point of view of a piano player, and how you're kind of spreading that out across the orchestra is not really. It's kind of like using your piano reduction or your guitar reduction as the rules for writing orchestration, which is not the best place to start. I'm very reluctant to say best and worst. I'm just kind of exploring myself how I would like to kind of develop these kind of tools for my toolbox is it's probably the best way of putting it. So being kind of less reliant on using instrumental limitations when it comes to using the orchestra as a bigger representation of what you want to say in your music. It's like using scale patterns as an instrumentalist when you're trying to improvise. Is it what you're hearing in your mind, or is it what you've learned and what you've trained your fingers to do? And getting away from that is hard. And I think that's why people like using synthesizers and things a lot, is because it'll provide them with compositional ideas that they might not have came to themselves. Hope that makes sense. That seemed a bit rambly. So where are we next? We're A minor. So again, we have the fifth in the bottom, which is not really what we're looking for. And we have thirds on top already, but we could probably bring this up an octave because we're already starting to see a melody line here. You know what I mean? And we have our four notes. That's okay there, and we might bring this up. And then you have a middle voice. They start to kind of show themselves. So all of them, and we can refine the voice leading then a bit later on. Now this is like super simple, and I'm trying to remember as many of the rules as I can in terms of you know, not using parallel octaves, not having voices that are further apart than an octave, things like that. They're my new rules, or my new guidelines, should I say. And bar 7 then is an F. So we can voice that same F as we had in this one, which might be nice. Oops. So, and then we have a 2-5 in D minor. Now this is still a little bit jazzy. Sorry, 2-5-1 in C major. And I am going to extend the chords to 1-3-5-7 here, just to kind of mix things up a little bit. So the D, is that too low? Probably. Yeah. And we have, this is the 5th. This is the 5th already here. Yeah. So 3rd, I'm going to throw up here. Might be a little on the high side. And we're going to leave the 5th and take the 5th out of here. But we're also looking to add in the 7th. So 7th might be nice. Here. And we know the voice leading. Sorry, the voice leading from a 2-5-1 in from going into a major 1 chord. The dominant 7 in the minor 7 in a minor 7 chord resolves down a half step to become the 3rd in the dominant chord, and it stays on that 3rd, becomes the 7th, major 7th of a major chord. And gives you a nice resolution. So so the 3rd, yeah, might bring the 3rd down, would we? Okay, very, very straightforward. It is going to get better, I promise. And the G then, we're also going to have a G down here, I think, if it's not too low. That strikes me as being too low, I think. That might be too high. We'll see. And then we have 3. And F can stay the same. Okay, and C already has the octave, 3rd, 7, and G. So gone from there. Now, ideally, how I would like to kind of develop this is when I'm inputting things myself on the keyboard, is to already kind of have these voices under my fingers so I can move through them, or just start voicing them straight onto the orchestra after. Okay, so the next step really is we've got our fundamental harmony, we've got our kind of spread voicings. So it's starting to look like, how can we develop this into something a little bit better? Because it is super plain vanilla at the moment. So this this high line, where are we? We can take the first of the top 4 voices. So it only spreads into 5 at the end. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4. So what we'll do here is yeah, I'm going to copy this. So I'm going to spread this out as if I would be starting to orchestrate it. So again, if people have a better suggestion for this might be overkill when you don't have a whole lot of time. So throw it up an octave. So I'm copying the note. So this is the top of the 4, if you know what I mean. So there's 4 note voicing, and I'm doubling here. So whatever this melody will be, we can double it up an octave. And this we're going to give 2 strings. And how come it didn't double it? And then we can take this top line again. Oops. Oopsie daisies. So take this. So this might be maybe on the piccolos. So here, what we can do with this is we can take this top line, and that can be our first one to move. So this is going to be our melody. Now we could mess around with this in here now. Actually, wow, we are just coming up to the time. So let's leave that and come back to it next week. Actually, sorry, I digress. I won't be here next week. So that is it. That is yeah, that's roughly about all we have time for. I'm going to be jumping on to a live stream over on Substack. In a few minutes at 11. So I kind of got to get ready for that one. I will also put the link to that here, so you can jump over and check that out. Where are we? Here. Cool. So yeah, again, thank you very much for hanging out. And that's what these live streams are all about. It's about hanging out and doing some kind of exploration into why is that streaming like that? Oh, that's weird. Yeah, hopefully everything worked and you could hear everything I was doing in the DAW. But yeah, these live streams are about kind of exploring some film composer type ideas and tips. Some of the stuff I know pretty well, some of the stuff that I'm still trying to figure out for myself. So if you got something from this, let me know. Let me know in the chat if there's something that you're stuck on or you're not sure, or you would like to see me kind of fumble around with trying to get my head around how to do it. Yeah, let me know in the chat. Also, subscribe to the channel, the YouTube channel, and Substack. There's weekly newsletters from Substack. There's 2 a week. One is called the Cue Sheet, and that's kind of my own kind of experience as being a film composer and some kind of, ideas about the industry, about music, about lots of different stuff. And the one on Tuesdays then is called the Quiet Creator Studio. That is more about how to it's more about developing your artistry, and it's more about how to keep kind of calm head, ways of helping you out if you're going through burnout or if you're finding it hard to function as a as an artist in the modern digital age. So again, thanks very much for stopping by. I won't be here next week with the live stream, but we'll be back again in the week after. And yeah, let me know how you get on. Thanks, Nelson. Thanks, Anna, for commenting and stuff. Check out the links